He couldn't read properly. He dropped out of school at 16. His teachers called him stupid. Today, he owns over 400 companies and is worth an estimated $3 billion. This is the untold story of Richard Branson. Most people know him as the adventurous billionaire with a private island, a fleet of hot air balloons, and his own airline. They see the crazy stunts and the larger-than-life persona, but what most people don't see is the real beginning. Before the money, before the fame, there was a dyslexic kid who couldn't even read simple words. Richard Branson was born in 1950 in Surrey, England. From his earliest years, school was pure torture. The letters on the page seemed to jump around, making reading feel impossible. Writing was even worse. Back then, dyslexia wasn't well understood. His teachers just thought he was lazy or not trying hard enough. Classmates would laugh when he struggled to read out loud. He was constantly embarrassed. His grades were terrible, and every test felt like an impossible mountain to climb. By the time he was 16, Richard had had enough. He had dropped out of school. On his very last day, his headmaster told him something shocking. "Richard, you'll either end up in prison or become a millionaire." Everyone expected him to fail. Everyone, that is, except his mother. She had a powerful belief that struggle builds strength. When Richard was just 4 years old, she dropped him miles from home and told him to find his own way back. When he was afraid of water, she threw him into the deep end, forcing him to learn to swim. She wasn't being cruel. She was teaching him independence and resilience. At just 15, Richard launched his very first business, a magazine called Student. He ran it from a church crypt with no money, no experience, and really no concrete plan. He just started cold calling companies trying to sell ads. He somehow convinced famous writers to contribute for free. He just worked nonstop. The magazine was a modest success, but Richard had his sights set on bigger things. At only 20 years old, he noticed something simple. Record stores were expensive and often intimidating places. So, he started selling records by mail at a discount. He named his company Virgin because he was a total virgin in business. And then, just as things were taking off, everything collapsed. A postal strike shut down mail delivery across Britain. The orders stopped. The money vanished. His business was dying. Most people would have quit right there. But Richard pivoted. He opened a physical record store in London. It was casual, relaxed, and welcoming. Customers could hang out, listen to music, and just feel comfortable. Young people absolutely loved it. Virgin Records was born. In 1973, Richard took another massive risk. He decided to start his own record label. Critics laughed. What did a dyslexic dropout know about producing music? Then he signed an unknown artist named Mike Oldfield. The album, Tubular Bells, went on to sell over 5 million copies. Virgin Records exploded, signing iconic artists like the Sex Pistols and Culture Club. Richard Branson became a serious player in the music industry. But he still wasn't satisfied. In 1984, he made what might be the craziest move of his life, starting an airline with just one single plane. He called it Virgin Atlantic. He knew absolutely nothing about aviation. The industry was dominated by giants like British Airways. Everyone said he would lose everything. And that first year was brutal. He faced mechanical problems and massive financial losses. British Airways even tried to destroy his company with dirty tactics. Richard sued them and won, but the legal battle nearly bankrupted him. In 1992, he faced the hardest decision of his life. To save Virgin Atlantic, he had to sell Virgin Records, the company he loved, the company that started it all. He sold it for $1 billion. It's said that Richard cried when he signed the papers. But that incredible sacrifice saved the airline and gave him the capital he needed to expand. Today, the Virgin Group owns over 400 companies and industries ranging from airlines and hotels to healthcare, telecom, gyms, and even space travel. Richard Branson is worth around $3 billion. He owns a private island. It's been knighted by the Queen. The kid who couldn't read became Sir Richard Branson. But his greatest achievement isn't the money. It's proving that failure is never permanent. It's showing that school doesn't define your intelligence and that disabilities can sometimes become your greatest superpowers. Richard Branson once said, "Do not be embarrassed by your failures. Learn from them and start again." So if you've ever been told you're not smart enough, if you failed in school, or if people have laughed at your struggles, Remember this story. Your limitations are not the end. They might just be the beginning. It's time to start building your own empire. Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, make sure to like and subscribe for more.